Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Beyond Dimensional podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Liz.
I'm Lori.
And we are very excited to have a special guest with us today. Her name is Karen, but she is not one of those Karens, so don't get crazy on us, okay? Just stop. She is legit, awesome, amazing, original OG Karen, so don't fucking get it twisted, guys. No, we're very honored to have the lovely Karen here today. I'm going to let Lori do a little bit of a further intro on who she is and what she is doing here for us.
Yeah. So Karen, also known as Mom, my mom, is joining us today to talk a little bit about generational witchcraft, generational gifts, generational shit. You know, DNA's got to be good for fucking something. And, I got a huge benefit. Obviously, my beauty comes from my mama, but also the spiritual gifts that I have and those that I'm really learning about and digging into in the ripe old age of 40 something. I got to tell you, so my mom never told me shit about any of the gifts that she had until, I don't know, 5 years ago. You just hit it. You said nothing, right?
Yeah, I spent my whole life not saying nothing.
Yeah. So think about my mom. Back in the day, we didn't really talk about witchcraft and ghosts and spirits. I mean, it was not the thing it is today. It was not socially accepted. I'm sure, I'm going to say you didn't want people to think you were a weirdo. And you probably didn't know what the hell was going on. I still deal with that. And, it's a much more accepted thing today to talk about. So one of the things I'd love to hear from you, Mom, is about kind of like the first experience you had with any kind of gift. The first time you knew, like, oh, this is something I can do that maybe others can't, or this is something different.
Do ghosts count?
Yes, it all counts.
I don't see ghosts, so that for sure counts.
I don't see them visually. So.
Or I should say spirit. I mean, I'm not sure what, I don't necessarily believe in ghosts. I think spirits is a better word for that. And that was probably when I was 5 or 6 years old. I had a spirit I was sleeping, and it was a he standing over me. And of course I, gasped, and he left. So, from that very early age, I thought I was mentally ill. I thought that there was something wrong with me. So from then on, I've heard people call me, they call my name, they touch me, they whisper to me, they run by me. It's kind of it. Again, all my life, I thought I was losing my mind, until probably a few years ago, Lori, when remember when I talked with James, and that kind of sent me back thinking about all those things. So yeah, I feel things all my life. Graveyards are a cool thing for me to go to. Because I feel that dead energy, so to speak. And old houses, abandoned houses, those are cool as well, because I can feel something from the people that used to live there, especially houses like from the 1800s. I think they kind of hung around more. But I think mostly because they probably spent their entire lives in that house. You know what I'm saying? So they're there, and I could feel them. Don't see them or anything. They don't touch me when I do that, but I definitely can feel them and kind of get either a good feeling or a bad feeling on what kind of life they had, like if they were suffering or if they were happy, So yeah, that's pretty much it. Go ahead.
So to back up, I mean, so when you told me about this originally, and James and I were talking about this experience that you had, he explained to me that it's called psychometry. And psychometry is when you can touch things or be, around inanimate objects, and there's no people or actual thing that you're seeing, but you can touch and connect with the energy that was there. So that gives you information about the people.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember one time you telling me that you used to go when you were younger into houses, abandoned houses. And that's one of the things that you would do. So tell us a little bit about, one of those experiences. Like, what would you do? What happened? I mean, I think you were pretty young when that started.
Well, the one that comes to mind is Tombstone, Arizona. And we were visiting a house. Wait, was it Tombstone? I think it was Tombstone. And we were in a house, you know how they have those broken down houses back in the day. I don't know if they still have them. This is back in the 70s, right? That were just abandoned. People, just left their houses. And that one I totally remember because the feeling that I got in that house was not a good feeling. It it was from the 1800s, the house was, and it was a cabin. And actually, I remember the wallpaper on the wall. It was peeling, and it was like just going. It kind of gave me a creepy feeling. Actually, not. I don't usually react to those feelings when I get them, because it's just there, right? It just happens. But that one kind of gave me a creepy feeling. I can't explain that, but that's what I remember.
Karen, I'm dying to know. Okay. So you're like 5 or 6 years old. You wake up to a guy over your bed, and then you're like, and he goes away.
Mm-hmm.
First, I have to know, do you know what he looked like? Did he have like a face? Was he wearing weird stuff? I want to know more about the guy. And then did he ever show back up? And then what happened from there? Like timeline wise, like when's the next stuff that started happening? And did it happen more frequently?
Well, that guy, I could only tell was a man by the shape of him. There was no face, but he was tall, and I think he was wearing, like, the outline was like pants, not like a dress. Like back in the days in the 50s and early 60s, women didn't wear pants, right? So, but that was it. And that guy, I don't think that particular one showed up ever again in my life. But seriously, as a child, being backed against a corner, it's sitting down crying because I've got these people fucking walking around me, you know? And it's like I became very withdrawn because I thought I was losing my mind. Spirits like, did I see that? Oh my God, what's going on here? And I don't tell my mother that. She thought she'd locked me up in an insane asylum.
Wow, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it because I'm having this image of you being you, like the story of the Sixth Sense is the story of Karen, right? When you saw that movie, did that did that feel very much like it was telling your story? Because that's what I'm thinking about right now. Is
Which movie are we talking about?
the Sixth Sense with
Oh,
Bruce,
oh,
where the
yeah,
kid
that was kind of
dead
cool.
people, that
Yeah.
that thing. Did you see it?
Yeah, I don't ever see dead people unless they're already dead in the spirit, and I don't know, but I don't see them like in their death or their accident
Sure.
or that kind of thing.
But
But
afterwards, you like
yeah,
see people walking
like
around
after they've left,
there.
yeah, their body's gone and they left. They never showed me in their disfigurement, so to speak.
Right. Oh,
But yeah, I mean, I thought probably till I was 13, 14 years old trying to not see these things. And I did a really good job. And, a lot of alcohol and drugs helped with that. Sorry to say, but that's, sorry to say.
If you don't know what it is, you don't have anyone to talk to about it. It's not mainstream. It's not like nowadays where everyone's talking about it and it's very open, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's self-medicating for a trauma. Essentially, it's a trauma that you don't know what to do with.
Yeah, I think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I'm totally losing my mind.
That's
And the fact that I was extremely sensitive as a child, I mean, you could look at me and I'd cry, because I was just so sensitive. I'm a Pisces. That's just how it is, right?
yeah, you're
Um,
double Pisces.
a lot to unfold here, guys. But I mean that does make sense. And if you think about how many people in their early teens start to experiment with drugs and alcohol, yes, sometimes that's from familial trauma and trauma from home and trauma from different things, which of course can definitely be in combination. But you're thinking about it, like how many people end up on the street or end up, lifelong alcoholics or drug addicts, and they started out and never talked about the fact that it may have started from someone like you who was seeing things that you knew weren't actually there, but you're
Yeah.
a spiritually, energetically sensitive person. How sad that that was part of what it was. So, what triggered it for you later in life to then allow it again? Was it Lori kind of discovering her own gifts, or
I've
like
never allowed it. I never allowed it.
you're acknowledging?
Well, I'm talking about it because I think honestly, it should be an awareness that everybody should know about, because they shouldn't think that they're crazy, right? Things happen and spirits visit. Spirits talk to us. They touch us. They give us signs. And most people don't see those signs. And not that that's a bad thing. It's not that it's a good thing. They just think, oh, well, whatever. But when a spirit's beating you up against the head going, hey, I'm here, or they're going, Karen, or they imitate your daughter, and I hear her voice, and I hear her say, Mom, Mom, and I look around, and it's not Lori, of course, but I think they imitate her. So I turn and I look, because I only turn and look when when they're calling me. I kind of look around because I'm going, who's calling me, right? But when they're calling in Lori's voice, it's something for me to start looking at. That's happened to me several times, and it's like, okay, either Lori and I are on the same link. This link is something's going on in Lori's life, and she may have thought of me, or maybe she needed me to talk or whatever. It's just kind of weird.
Haven't you, I think you said before where you've heard my voice somewhere and then you did call me and it was like a time when I needed to talk to you.
Yes, it was. It was when I was in. I think I was in Coles or something, and your voice, Mom, and I mean, I turn around and like, oh my God. And then that was the time. I totally remember that time. I was in Kohl's shopping, freaking out, going, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's like a psychic connection.
Yeah.
So
We don't do that very often, though.
So at what point did you convince yourself that you're not actually crazy, that you are a spiritually energized person, and that these are actually just spirits in your chart?
Honestly, I think it really started with James. For years, well, for like 3 or 4 years, I've been feeling something bump me on my legs, and I'm constantly turning around and go, what the fuck? And James is the one who informed me that that's my dog Casey. Casey has never left me, and she used to bump me when she was alive. Like when I'm fixing her dinner, she'd bump me up against a leg, or if I'm sitting on the bed, she'd bump me. And that's what he informed me, and I totally believe that. I think that, because to me that was so precious, made me more aware, and I don't know, want to know more and want to tell people my story. My story is not a big story. My experiences are not like some people's, but obviously they've made who I am, over the years.
Well,
Absolutely.
you also were able to associate it now with something positive.
Yeah,
It wasn't like these random spirits floating around,
true,
feeling you, touch you, you're like, what the fuck? It's like
true.
your dog who we've loved forever, you had a special connection with, and now it's like, oh, it's a positive reinforcement of a spirit instead of who the fuck are these people and what do they want from me and why do they sound like my daughter?
Yeah, it's a lot better than the shadows that pass me run by. Not too long ago, I was in my living room and I seen someone run by. I mean, shoo, really fast. I went, heck. So I went out the door. There's nobody there. It's a shadow. It's a spirit. He's like, I don't know why they want to run past me, but that happens all the time. I do want to go back to James. I'll never forget, in a nutshell, when he read me, he asked me, what are you here for? What do you want to know? And I said, well, I just want to know who's around me. My daughter has her grandmother. I want to know who's around me, right? And he starts laughing. And I go, what? He goes, oh my God. He goes, I asked that question and an elevator door opened and all these people started coming out. And I went, what? Oh my God, walk away. But that was so funny. Okay, yeah, they're probably all those same ones been haunting me all my life. She's asking now, we can come in.
Hmm. Oh my God, the floodgates have
I
opened.
I know. It's like,
Wild.
it's really crazy. Yeah, and then he told me that I didn't have necessarily anyone around me, but that my guardian angel, so to speak, are fairies. Lucky me, I have little fairies.
Well, fairies are magic.
Aren't they though?
Yes,
So
that makes
I
sense.
never see them. Why not? Why can't I see a little fairy running around or something, you know?
have you ever felt like a connection with fairies? Like I know people like to collect butterflies or, fairy things or bunnies or whatever. Like, has that ever been a thing?
No, ever, never, never.
Interesting. Did it make you
Yeah,
feel like cute and like adorable and sparkly? Where you're like, oh, I feel like fairies.
yeah, I don't do that.
My mom's like, fuck no, I don't know.
You're
I don't
like,
think so.
not really.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A couple things I
interesting.
remember, Mom. So one, my mom had brain surgery years ago. Was it 6 years ago now?
5 or 6, yeah.
Or 6 years ago. Yeah. So she was had her surgery. She was in the recovery room, intensive care. My brother and I were in the room. And my mom, of course, the woman that she is, she comes out of brain surgery. She's trying to get up. I got to get up. I can't sit here. I'm never going to get better if I don't get up. And we're like, hello, this just happened. You need to calm down.
Walk it off.
Yeah. And you kept saying, oh my God, there's my mom again. So my grandmother who's passed, who's pretty connected to me, there's my mom again. And she was already talking to me when I was in the shower. And I'm like, what? And you go, yep. She was telling me this morning when I was in the shower, everything's going to be fine. You're going to be protected. Everything's fine. And you said, yeah, mom, whatever. I'm trying to shower. Get the fuck out of here. And then you were telling me how she's always messing with me when I cook. She moves my pan or she moves something in the pan and I know it's her and she's just always messing with things. And as soon as you said that, I kid you not, Liz, that the pressure cuff, the blood pressure cuff hanging from the wall came up and fell to the floor. And my mom goes, there she is again, causing a ruckus. And my brother is like, this is weird. I don't know if he believes or not. Well, I think he does a little, but he's just like, okay, this is fucking weird.
Yeah.
But I saw my grandma in the way that I see. So I don't see visually. I don't see spirits or anything like you do, Mom. I see pictures, right? So I saw grandma in the corner of the room before that happened. Like I could see her standing there watching and waiting for you to wake up. And then you said that, and then the thing just flew off the freaking handle. And Jared's like, okay, this is too much for me.
Brother's probably just like, ah, so
She's
many
too
poor crazy women in this family. I have to get out of here.
fucking
Wait,
weirdos.
that leads me.
Yeah.
I love this story because here we are. We're talking about 3 generations of Ott women, and we haven't even gotten to your daughter, Lori. So do we think, even though obviously she never talked about this, do we think your grandma Lori had gifts?
I wish we knew and asked her questions when she was alive, but it wasn't even something we thought of.
I mean,
Um,
technically you could ask her now.
she doesn't give me direct information. Only once in a while. It's very interesting. We don't communicate like that. She's
Mhm.
more of a she's telling me right now, like my job is to observe and protect. If
Well,
that's
can Jane tell us? Can somebody else? Can she tell
maybe,
somebody else?
hey, we'll try. But what I will tell you is that when I had my Akashic records read, the woman told me that the gift started at number 7. She was very clear. Number 7 female on my mom's side. Witchcraft started. The gifts started. All of that started to happen. Um, and it seems to be female dominant.
Yeah.
Except for I have a newly found cousin who has some gifts as well. Um, but it seems that very likely that my grandma, and I don't know if I'll ever know, but grandma must have seen or known something. She also started drinking at an early age.
Very
So,
early age.
so who knows, right? But it definitely is passed from my grandmother's side, my mom's genetics, right?
Yeah.
McKenna, my daughter, is just now really tapping into her gifts, and she has psychic premonitions, which I don't have. So what's interesting to me is that we all have different things. Same.
Yeah.
Other than empath, we're all empaths. We all have that empath thing. Mom, you could if you wanted to, I believe, but you don't. You don't communicate directly with those that have passed or ask questions or speak. I think you could. But they don't just give you information randomly. Psychometry, I don't have that gift. I also don't have psychic premonitions like McKenna. So it's just very interesting to me how it is generational, but it's different. It's not the same.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is
It is interesting.
Yeah. So, okay. So here's kind of what my brain's starting to go with it. Empath, entry level. Like everyone who's kind of spiritually vibing probably is an empath at like the base, because that's really being in tune with other souls, energies, emotions. How do we describe empath then? Or is an empath a totally separate gift that some quote unquote, witches or spiritual people don't have at all?
Empaths, to me, an empath is more a like next level up of intuition and using it. But it's also a way, or how do I say? It's like when I walk into a room, and Mom, you tell me that, because we've talked about this, but when you walk into a room and you all of a sudden feel sick and you're like, what's wrong? Or you all of a sudden feel like crying, or you can look at a couple of people and go, oof, that person's really struggling today. It's like taking on someone's emotion or feeling as your own, and not being able to decipher the difference between what you feel and actually taking on what they're feeling.
Yeah.
That takes practice. I mean, I've been an empath all my life, and it's just in the last, 20 years, not because I knew I was an empath, but because I couldn't survive anymore, taking on everybody's emotions. Like I would literally get mad or angry or cry or hurt just by someone, having that going on around me. Their anger, and I take it, oh, they're angry at me, and this and that, and it's taken years, and I'm better at it now, but I still do it. And it takes a lot of practice to not let that affect you so much. Right?
That's really interesting. Do you find that for both of you? Because Lori, I've watched you do energy work, which I feel like is kind of an extension of this empathic gift. Do you, for both of you, find that when you were taking on other people's emotions, it was relieving them of theirs, or were you just sharing in that?
I shared. I totally shared. I didn't think that it was relieving them. I was just suffering right along with them. That's how it felt,
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, but you thought probably for a lot of years, like I did, that it was yours. It wasn't theirs. It took time to identify, right? That
yes, yes. And that's just been in the last few years that I've been aware of what it's called and what it is, right? But and it's interesting to look back on all those years as a child. I was hiding my closet because I was taking on all this stuff and seeing all these things, and whether these spirits that or whatever I was seeing were bad or good. Now I feel like I was just taking it all in, and I couldn't sort it out, and I couldn't deal with it, But now I'm like, back off, because I can't handle it. Well, I might be able to handle it now better than I did as a child. But yeah, I forgot my point.
I think my mom probably has some sort of connection, but she's never done anything. But my sister, when she was younger, she had visits from spirits. And there was one time where she kept calling my mom into the bedroom because she's like, Mom, someone's here. And she's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And she's like, there's, I think she's like, there's a man in here. My mom understood that she was like probably either seeing a ghost or thinking she was seeing a ghost. And so she kind of acknowledged it. She said, hey, oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. What I want you to do is when you see him, just tell him that he's here, and you really want him just to leave you alone so you can go to sleep. And she's like, okay. And so she would actively in her mind tell the guy to go away, and that, she understands, like, please don't hurt me. I just want to go to bed and like leave me at peace. And like the next day she woke up, she's like, yeah, he went away. And so is that, I mean, clearly it was a positive being, or at least not one that's like evil and whatever. Unless it took her over, but that's a whole other story. But is that kind of the way you found it to work, where if you kind of like, you're doing this like in a physical form, you're like cross fingers like ash, but waving garlic at them or whatever we're gonna do to get rid of them. But do you feel like there's kind of like a psychic or verbal thing you can do to say, hey, I'm good today, like no more crazy today, we're good?
So I'm a Pisces, so it makes it very easy for me to bury my head in the sand. So if I just go, you're not there, that works for me.
Wow.
Right?
Excellent compartmentalizing skills.
No acknowledgement.
Wow.
Okay. Another story my mom's told me that's fascinating. So, and I've told this story to people, and probably Liz and the 5 people listening to this that we know that have already heard the story from me, but they're going to hear it again. So talk us through the time you woke up and you had the devil in your face, please.
Oh, yeah, that one. So I don't have a lot of dreams. People don't come to me in my sleep, right? But there's been a few times that I'll get a visit from someone, and I don't know who it is, but I know that they were there. This particular time I was entering a room and it was very smoky in there. And I was, and it's kind of funny because I was doing this, walking around like this and kind of looking around and seeing what was going on. And then all of a sudden, this demon came right here in front of my face. I mean, just like that, like this close, so scary that I jolted out of sleep because I felt like he like touched me. I mean, like he was so close, right? And yeah, I'll never forget that one. I was panicked about that. That scared me. It really did. Because I don't usually see bad things. And not necessarily that he may not have been bad, but it could have been the way I saw him. He looked a lot like that Saw guy, that horror movie, Saw 1, 2, 3, and 29, that guy.
But
Yeah.
you saw it clearly, like,
Oh,
like it
gosh.
wasn't like a shadow. It was like you could
Oh,
make
no.
out his face.
He was in my face like this. He was in my face. I think I could feel his breath. It was like, dang, woke me right up. Yeah, panicked. My heart was racing, scared the shit out of me.
But when you woke up, he wasn't there.
No, he was not there. And he's never been back. So, yeah, see, I get fleeting little things like that. But that was a big one to me. I still think about that a lot. I'm not afraid to go to sleep or anything like that, but I do think about it.
So how do you differentiate knowing or feeling like that was an actual like spirit or entity or whatever it was visiting you in your dreams versus just having a bad dream?
I think because of the way it jolted my ass out of my sleep. I mean, yeah, it was like, boom. And I was like straight up out of bed, like, whoa, I knew that was something more than just a dream.
So it was like,
yeah,
he was there and like got you out of your sleep. And then,
oh yeah, he got me out of my sleep. All right. Like, dang.
That's crazy.
Yeah. My little demon guy, he's something. So the other dreams that have had over my lifetime is usually about my dead animals. Like I had Garth. Remember Garth, Lori? Poor Garth haunted me for years. And it was always a terrible dream. Like I left him alone and he was starving slowly to death, and it was terrible. And the cat I ran over in Rogue River, he ran underneath my car. That cat was laying on my bed that night when I went to bed and woke up, and he was sitting at the end of my damn bed. Dang it. For days.
You shouldn't have run under the car.
I told him, I said, you were in front of my car. I gave him the whole story. It's your fault. Interestingly, I had to drive back after I hit him, and he was gone. I think maybe his owner came and got him. I don't know. Or a critter did. But
God, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Have you ever had the feeling like I know this person, even if you don't know how you know them? Have you ever had that like familiar feeling?
No, only not seeing something, but hear something like when they call me, it's like, Karen, Karen. I'm looking around and I know the voice. I've heard the voice before, and I couldn't tell you who it was, but it just sounds very familiar, but not ever seen anyone that I thought that I might know.
Hmm. Yeah. So, okay, my mom has so many great stories, obviously, and there's another one that's really great. So, tell us about the Olivia, the little girl.
Oh, Olivia,
Yep.
that little girl's. So I'm working property management, and I was doing a move-in paperwork with a mom and her daughter, and I had chatted with the mom, but I turned to Olivia. I think she was like 5 or 6 years old, maybe. And I said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't get your name. What is your name?" And she goes, "My name is Olivia." And "Hi, I'm Karen." She goes, "I know." I go, "You do?" "Oh, yes. I knew you when I was in heaven." And I just like her mom goes, "Olivia, stop it." The mom cut it off. I've thought about that all my life, as Lori has. But what that tells me is that because of the way the mom reacted, the girl's had previous stuff, right? She's probably a very psychic type of person to this day to say something like that. And that was a time where it put a different perspective on what I thought, like if there was a God or if we were reincarnated. I started thinking about that stuff. And so it was I blew me out of my chair. It's like, and I'm trying to be professional. I want to ask this girl some questions, right? But her mom wasn't going to go for that, and I wasn't going to push it. "Hey, Olivia, let's talk."
Yeah.
You know?
Remember. You know what's really interesting, and this has never happened before, and I don't think I've ever read you, Mom. Have I ever really?
I was
No, you said you
that
did.
earlier.
Yeah, it's hard for me to read people I know. Um, Only the one time Grandma was giving me images of that car. Remember that what was that car that I thought was a Corvette she was showing me,
It's a
but it was
Corvair.
Corvair. Yeah, she was
Corvair.
showing me that.
Yeah.
Weird car. It was a random thing. But just now, as you were talking about Olivia, what she's telling me, Grandma's telling me, um, that little girl knew you in heaven because she was a sister of yours in another life.
What?
Yeah,
Oh my
I
God,
don't get goosebumps often, but I
I
kind
got
of just,
this too.
but that makes
What?
sense because that's why she knew you. She was like, "Oh yeah, I know because I knew you in heaven." She, you guys already had had lifetimes together. They're telling me 2 lifetimes. So she's popping up in this life to say hi, like in her way,
Wow.
even though your soul contract isn't to be together in this life like you were in the others.
Ugh, dang. Now, no, I miss her now. I miss my sis.
Guys, I don't know if you know this, but realize this, but we just had a beyond dimensional moment
It's totally.
live on this podcast coming in. That's
Oh
really
my gosh.
and that poor girl is so how old, and her mom's like, "Olivia, stop it." She's probably like one who has imaginary friends and is like always talking to strangers, and her parents are probably like, "Oh, we have a weird kid and like she won't stop doing all this shit." And maybe she ends up like Karen going, "Oh, this is bad. I'm not supposed to see these things or do these things." I hope not, but
But you know how it is. People, they brush this shit under the carpet, and I know from experience, and most people don't believe it. They don't believe in it. If you have a spouse that doesn't believe in it, well, they're not going to support you and help you develop your craft mostly. I'm not saying all spouses. I don't want anyone to, like give me hate mail.
Karen.
The Karen, and you can call me Linda.
yeah, you'll change your name for that one.
I tell people that all the time where I work. "Oh, you're a Karen." I go, "But you can call me Linda." And they go, You don't get it.
Well, I love that. We just brought it full circle, ladies, and we are at about time. But I know that Karen has a ton more stories for us. I know we're going to do a lot more exploring of this. I'm very excited for a part 2, part 3, part 4. Karen, keep us on your calendar because I definitely want to hear more about this. This is really
Awesome. I
Thank
will. You
so
guys
much
just
for
let me know.
with us. This
And
was
good luck with your podcast, both of you ladies.
that was really fun.
It's wild, right?
Huge.
It's such a different perspective.
Yeah, like she's got so much history with it
Yep.
from so many different angles. It's wild. Like it's weird to think about like the generational thing being so different in each person. Like
Yeah.
how many gifts there that exist in the world that are possibly like branches.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting for me, and she'll hear this now, and I'm saying it out there, but I wish I would have known about that and her experience and what she went through a long time ago, because I also went through oh my God, I'm just fucking crazy.
Totally.
Right? And I didn't talk about things. Um, but again, as she said, she's just really in the last many years figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing. So, I guess PSA of the day, parents, if your kids are talking about it, don't tell them to fuck off. Pay attention. You never know. You have the next John Edwards or Tyler Henry or, all the famous people.
That I will get to know, I promise. But that's wild too. And like, are imaginary friends really imaginary? Whole other episode.
Yeah, I don't think they are. I think kids see a lot of shit.
They see so much crazy shit.
Yep. Yep. You just never know.
You don't. Oh man, poor kids. Well, I'll never have to deal with that because I'm not having any, everybody. I think we're gonna have to continue this episode with a generational part 2, obviously with Karen, but with McKenna to hear how the whole thing goes from earlier generation to present to future generation, all those things. So I'm definitely intrigued.
Fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, I think you guys should play the Sanderson sisters for Halloween. That would be fun. That would be
It'll
super.
be some kind of something.
Well, this was so much fun. Until next time, everybody, grab your broomstick and we will catch you on the next episode of Beyond Dimensional.
See ya.